do not have like marketing do not have like the exact right answer, because marketing is very much depending on your audience, your product, and your brand. So we really strive to share more about the thought process so that you can also do it for your brand yourself, not so much on like the hard skills and the techniques. So before I continue to move forward, if anyone have issue with hearing me or seeing the slides, please just drop it on the chat so that we can know, yeah? So let's start right now. Let me share my screen. Okay, so today we are talking about content, what the heck to post. And before that, just in case there is someone new here who's joining us for the first time, I'm just gonna very quickly introduce myself. So my name is Suzanne, and I am one of the co-founders for Pizza Eats, where some of you might have already known we are a food business that does food delivery, and all our chefs are actually refugees who are currently here in Malaysia. And today is actually World Refugee Day. It's not a day to be celebrated, it's a day for us to recognize that refugees around the world, they are struggling, they have a lot more to provide. And if you are interested, you can let us know. Tonight we are going to have another sharing with our chef from Gaza, and she will be sharing a bit more and about her own story, and we can have a conversation with her as well for World Refugee Day. So yeah, so I'm one of the co-founder for Pizza Eats, and our business started about 4 years ago when we realized that there is a huge need in the refugee community, and we decided to start a food business because everybody needs to eat every day, and a lot of the mothers from the refugee community can cook. So 4 years ago, we started this business where we do buffet catering, we do food delivery, and that was when we really experienced the power of social media. And the reason why I say this is because 4 years ago when we first started the business, everyone was telling us this can't work. Why would people buy food made by refugees? Like, how can you convince people that the food made by refugees are actually clean and delicious and safe to be eaten? And that was when we experienced how powerful social media is, because with very low marketing budget, social media was all we had. And through social media in the past 4 years, we were able to really convey the message that we want to send to the people out there, to the public out there, where their food is great, their food is delicious, and through this purchase you are able to make an impact. So we experienced the power of social media. We were able to make about sell about, it's now about 200,000 meals. We have given back about 4.3 million. We have gained about 4.3 million sales, and half of it go back to the chef, and we have served about 500 over corporate clients. And these corporate clients include people like Facebook, Airbnb, Allianz, and this again shows how powerful social media is, because all these corporate, they actually see us from social media, and because of what they see on social media, they trust us enough to get us to cater for their event. So when all this happened, we, again, I've mentioned it a few times, we experienced the power of social media. That is where during MCO, we started thinking, hey, since right now we have lost most of our buffet catering sales, during MCO, why not we start a new venture where we use what we have been practicing for the past 4 years, which is content, storytelling, and social media, to help more people out there to do their own social media marketing and content marketing. That is where we started Zucchini & Co., which is which is the company that we just recently started that is doing this webinar right now. So we are called Zucchini & Co. We do content marketing for brands, we do social media management, we do storytelling. So today I'm going to share about content. So let's get started. That was a quick introduction. If you want to know more about what Zucchini does, what we can offer, you can drop it in the chat. We will answer that later. Okay. So that's the intro, and right now let's get started on our conversation today, which is to talk about what the heck to post. But before we even go into what the heck to post, right, I just want to lay it clear so that all of us are here with the right goal. Why is it even important to create content? Why is it even important to post things on social media? Because a lot of people, when we talk to them, brands tell us, oh, but it doesn't bring me direct sales. It doesn't bring me immediate sales. It doesn't work as good as ads, which is true. It doesn't work as fast, as straightforward as that, but content marketing and generating regular content does bring a lot of value to a brand, where a lot of articles, a lot of report. You can just simply Google why is content marketing important, and you will see articles after articles about how content marketing helps brand in building trust, building awareness, and building exposure. And why do I say that is because data even show that 78% of consumers prefer getting to know a company via article or content rather than ads, which just try to think from your point of view, when you see an ad and when you see a social media account that you follow, the feeling that you get is very different. One is, oh, it's a content that I follow. Another one is, oh my gosh, why this ad pop up when I'm scrolling through my feed, seeing my friends? So ad and content is very different. And in a way, the data shows that more people actually prefer seeing content rather than ads. And 70% of people believe that brands that actually work on their content is actually more interested to build a good relationship with them. And the reason why is the brand take the effort to push out content that add value to the followers. And for the followers, if you see brands that always come out with good content that you like, you feel that they actually care for you. They care for you. They want to make you laugh. They want to make you smile. They want you to know what they are up to. They care for you. But if the brand doesn't push out good content that you care about, they just tell you, oh, this is a new promo, this is the new promo, this is the new product, buy now, buy now, buy now. The whole relationship is very, very different. So just want to make it clear here that content marketing is important, even though you can't see a short-term gain. There is a lot of long-term gain in terms of content marketing. All right. Again, if you have any question, just drop it in the chat. All right. So now there are a few basic steps that we take when we curate content. So not just for Picha. So for myself, I curate content for Picha. I also curate content for a few more brands ever since Zucchini and Co started. We have also been talking to a lot of other brands out there to just look through their content and propose more content ideas to them. So this is kind of the thought process that we go through to research and develop content, because a lot of people will say things like, oh, I'm not creative, I don't have any ideas. But it's actually not about whether you are creative or not. It's really truly about understanding who is the people seeing your content and what do they actually want to see and what do you want to tell them. So I broke it down to very simple 5 steps. And the first step is to ask questions. Building content is a lot of thinking and reflecting and asking questions. So the first step is to ask questions. What kind of questions to ask? So questions to ask includes things like this. You can screenshot, you can write down, or you can just ask for the slides from me later. We can send it to you. So questions to ask is things like, what's my brand all about? What do I provide as a brand? What's my competitive advantage that everyone should know? And what's the goal for my brand social media? So let's say if my brand is, let's say my brand is Picha, what do I provide? I provide buffet catering, I provide meals delivery, I provide food, right? What's my competitive advantage? Okay, we have food from different part of the world, we have a story behind the meal. These are the competitive advantage that I want people to know. And what's the goal for my brand social media? I want people to know that we provide great food. I want people to know us. So it is an awareness. So after answering all these questions, the next thing to check is look back at your social media and try to scroll it as a first-time user and ask yourself, are the points above actually shown on your brand's social media? Okay, all right. I hope I'm not speaking too fast, but let me give you an example. So for example, we talk about Picha, right? We talk about Picha and I have our account right here. So let's say I am a new user. At one glance, what would I actually think Picha is? And whether all these things that I just answered earlier about my competitive advantage, about what do I provide, is it actually shown on my social media? So let's say I scroll the first post. Okay, all the best. We had a great meal yesterday. Oh, okay, they do meal. Oh, they have wings. Oh, they have chicken meatball. Oh, and this is, oh, they provide, yeah, they have content that talks about unity, I guess, and oh, they have food, they have recipe, this is what they do. So the question to ask yourself is, so this is just an example, okay? The question to ask yourself is go to your brand social media and scroll and see whether what you want to tell people is actually translated in your social media. Because we have to know that social media is one of the most important ways for us to convey our message to people. Because just imagine you run this business, you know everything, you know we are good at this, we are good at that, but people don't know, right? If you don't tell them, they can't read your mind. So how do you tell them? A lot of times it's actually through social media. Understand the importance of social media in a way where social media is the medium for you to convey your message to the people out there. So make sure you ask yourself this question: if your competitive advantage, let's say, for example, let's say if you are a beauty salon and your competitive advantage is you are super clean, super hygienic, super clean, make sure that this super hygienic and super clean message is conveyed on your social media, not one time, not two times, but many times. Because again, put yourself into people's shoe. A normal user, how many posts do you see on social media every day? A lot. You keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Do you think people will actually remember the one post that you posted a week ago? Most of the time, nobody remembers. Social media is very fast. Your content will be out of people's mind in a very short period of time. So make sure that if you have an important message to tell, we keep repeating it again and again and again until it registers into people's mind. So the first step to do, ask yourself this question: what are the things that people must know? What are the things that you want people to know? And make sure that it is conveyed on your social media. Definitely the content must be things that you want people to know. I mean, sorry, another way around. The things that you want people to know must be part of your content. Yeah, that is the right way to put it. So that's step number one. And number two, moving on. Oh, I actually have a quick example here. A quick example here to answer the question so that you can do this exercise for your own brand as well. So the first, just to answer the question. So let's say, and anyway, this is not a real company. I just made this up as an example. So what's my brand all about? I'm a consultation company, for example. And what do I provide? I provide consultation on building team culture and instilling innovation among employees. Let's say I'm a consulting company, right? And what's my competitive advantage is that, oh, we are a team of very experienced business founders with more than 5 years of experience in building team culture and innovation. And another competitive advantage that we have is we are very young. We are a group of young founders where we can bring in fresh perspective to your organization and build the right culture for younger generation, which is the future of workforce. So let's say these two are my competitive advantage and as compared to other HR consultant, okay? And the main goal of my social media is to be seen as the subject matter expert, meaning I want people to see this company as the pro, the expert in terms of HR, culture, and instilling innovation among employees. So this is a way that you can answer to this question for your own brand. All right? All right, so that's step number one. Following that, the second thing to do that we always do is to do research. So we do research not in a way where you find data and analysis and all that. No, it's to do content research from places like Google, to look at hashtags, to look at Pinterest, because all these gives us more idea of what we can do. Because the fact is, we can't say that we have no ideas or we are not creative. It's not true. It's not that we have no ideas or we are not creative. The truth is we are just not getting enough inspiration. And in this world, if you look at a lot of things are created not out of ground zero. A lot of things are created with a mixture of inspiration from different places. So you get inspired by this brand, then you look at another brand, then you match something together and tweak it to your own content. And that is where a lot of new content come up. So let me just briefly share with you how do we do the research. So for example, let's say my new company is this consulting company, right? So what I would do is I already pre-type it so that we don't have to wait the loading time. So what I would do is I would actually Google best consulting firm to follow on Instagram, for example. And when I do it for Picha, I will actually Google best food accounts to follow on Instagram. Or if I do for the beauty salon, I will say, I will Google best nail, let's say best beauty salons account to follow on Instagram to just see who are some of the top players in this scene and what do they actually post about. So usually you will end up in a list like this when you Google, and the list will tell you a few brands that is actually pretty good. So I actually chose this. RUSSO. So let's say I click into this account and this is what I can see him posting. So this is where we start doing research, where we see what other people do and whether I feel that it matches what I want. So for example, this, it's pretty cool. They do a lot of content where they talk about brand image, they talk about social media, and all these posts to me, when I see it, is posts that gives information to people. So I can see, okay, whether I want this or not. So let's say if I kind of like this and I feel like we should try, I do a screenshot and I save it so that I can refer back to it. Okay, another one that came out from the list as well is this, something like this, where what you do is really scroll as a user to see what do you feel when you see all this content. So if you see something that you feel is pretty cool, let's say, oh, this one looks quite cool, maybe I can introduce my consultants in this way, where I highlight each of them so that people get to know about who these consultants are. So these are something that I might screenshot and keep as well. So hold on. All right. Okay, give me a second because my Zoom toolbar is blocking. Okay, here. So another account that I will scroll through. So basically you scroll through as many accounts as you can and to pick up what content do people actually post about. And if there's anything that you think it actually can work for your brand, or is there anything that attracts your attention that you really like? So even things like this, oh wow, they play with so much colors. Is this something that I want? They look very young. My consulting firm is very young. Is this the color direction that I want? You can keep exploring. And IBM is something more serious. But one thing that popped up to me is how they feature different people. So if you look at this, oh, they are featuring different people who share about their own thoughts, to share about their own story. So these are things that we can all explore. So again, let's say for this one, they are talking about, okay, let's say LGBT. You don't have to talk about the same topic, but you can follow the same concept where you see how they do it. They feature 8 people with like a theme in the middle. Maybe that's something that I can do. Maybe I can feature 8 consultants and in the middle it's something very young that says that we are here to build your young team, for example. Okay. And for this, they also have a lot of information like this that I think, oh, maybe it's something that we can do. So that is where we keep doing research. So besides doing research on Google, we can also do research on hashtags. So let's say I do a hashtag team culture, because this is what my new brand is. So whatever hashtag that you think works for you, that's how we can research it. So let's say team culture, and if you look at it, is there anything exciting? Sometimes when you scroll through the hashtag, there is actually really nothing interesting, nothing inspiring. So if that happens, let's say I scroll through, okay, nothing interesting, I don't like anything, then the question to ask yourself is, how do you stand out among this hashtag? If let's say someone wants to look at team culture, they hashtag team culture, and everything is so boring, how can you stand out in this hashtag? So let's say when I scroll, maybe this will attract my attention. So I will click in, I will look, okay, what do they do? I will go into their account to check them out. Hey, not bad, quite cool. A lot of quotes, a lot of quick tips. There's even video. So this is how we usually do the research for a specific industry, to really see in this industry, how are people putting out their content, and how can I put out similar, better, or very, very different content. Another way to do research is also to not just necessarily research on your own industry. You can also research on other industry and see how can you apply their techniques to you. So for example, my new company can be doing, okay, let's take this as an example. Right now, I am researching for consulting firm, right? But how can I also apply this to Picha, which is a food brand? So for example, if I look at this, okay, they have, let's see, let me pick something. Okay, let's say this one. They have this where they say 3 ways leaders can build vulnerability-based trust. It's a blog. So I can think for myself, as Picha, what kind of blog can I write that I can put a post like this on social media? So maybe I can write 3 ways to build empathy when working with communities. So it's the same inspiration that I get from a completely different industry, but I will try to think, how can I apply this same method to my content? Or even things like this is a quote. It's a quote that says, coaching is the strongest tool to help you build your team and ultimately to retain it. So if I want to build this to Picha, how can I say food is the strongest tool to bring people together, because when we eat, we don't care who we are, we all eat, for example. So it's a constant thinking of, hey, I like this content. How can this content apply to my brand? Yeah. All right, so that is how we do research. If you want, you can go on Pinterest as well. Unfortunately for consulting, Pinterest doesn't have much stuff, but I thought this was pretty cool. 11 things that best bosses can do. That's something that we can copy as well. Or let's say, if let's say for Picha, I love going on Pinterest because let's say I just search on Pinterest creative food photography. We get a lot of inspiration from this for Picha. So we can see, oh wow, you can play with food this way. You can actually make a lot of, let's say this one. So things like this, they use an egg to make a flour. So we will think, oh, can I use falafel, which is something round as well. We will think, can we use falafel to make flour? What kind of food can we use to make something else? So it's really constantly getting inspired by things on the internet and trying to ask yourself this question, how can I use this on my brand? All right, so that is usually how we brainstorm to think of more content idea. So back to this. So after we do research, the next step that we take is to look around. All right, so I would say doing research and looking around happen concurrently. So you do research, but at the same time, you also look around. What do I mean by looking around is that content is actually all around us. Everything that happens around us, or anything that we see, anything that we read on a daily basis, can actually be turned into content. So the question to check with ourselves is that you can ask yourself daily, what can be turned into content today? What are some of the things that's going to happen today? Or what are some of the things that happened today or yesterday that can be turned into content? For example, let's say my fake consulting company, right? So my fake consulting company, for example, if today I receive a call from a potential client who asked me, hey, I am facing this question where my team is not motivated at all. What can I do? It's a question that someone asked me. That itself can be turned into a content where, let's say, I can go on LinkedIn and I can type, today I got a call from someone who asked me, what should I do if my team is not motivated? These are my points, 1, 2, 3. So that become a content. Or let's say even in Picha, for example, if today, let's say I go to the chef's house and the chef tell me a funny story about the kid. Let's say the chef tell me, do you know yesterday I made brownies and my son ate it and I was freaking out because the brownies was meant for the client? That itself can become a content. Let's say I do an Insta story and say, fun fact today, yesterday Chef Dalia's child ate her brownies, which she freaked out, but she managed to, bake another tray of brownies. So content is really all around us, be it through conversation, through what you see, through what your colleagues say. Even today, let's say later you ask me a question on Zoom chat to ask, oh, what do you mean by that? That itself, I can turn it into a content as well. Or even let's say today when I am preparing for this webinar, I find something new that I learned, I can share that as well. So as a brand, always be very conscious about what's happening around you. A lot of time we struggle to come up with content because we feel like, oh, I need to create something, right? But a lot of times the thing is actually already around you. Even think like, let's say, I know someone here is from a co-working space. So let's say in co-working spaces, you overheard a conversation happening between two persons that says, oh, I love coming here to work because, there's free flow of coffee. That itself can become a content where you take a picture of the coffee machine and say, hey, overheard today that people love coffee. Who needs coffee every day, for example. So content is really all around us, where we really can be more observant to open our eyes and open our ears and to really be observant and see what are the content that we can pick up along the way and put them on social media. All right, so again, a quick recap. The first is to ask ourselves question, what are the things that we want people to know? The second one is to do research, and the third one is to look around, because content is actually all around us. All right, moving on, the next one will be to match them. So what do I mean by match them? Earlier, I've actually already shared a bit about how you look at something that inspires you and you try to match it to your brand. So what we usually do is we look at all these ideas that we think is interesting and we look at our point. How can we match them together? All right. The question to us is how can my points, which is I am young and experienced, be shown in this form? So, and can I combine X and Y? That is some of the questions that we ask. So for example, I put this down. Remember just now I shared about my brand, which is this new consultation company. Again, disclaimer, it doesn't exist. I just made that out for an example. Matching back to the things that I have shown you all earlier. So I saw these two posts from IBM and another Instagram account. So in my head, I will match, okay, this kind of format, I can use it to highlight my consultants. All right, I want to feature my consultants. I take their photo, I feature their experience, and I'm going to post it in this way on Instagram. For example, this is how I will match it in my head. And let's say my goal is to be seen as a subject matter expert. So I will do a lot of infographic that gives out information to people. So this is what I mean by mixing and matching. Another example that I want to show you is another example on Picha. If you have followed us, we started doing this series of content since the beginning of this year, where what we ask ourselves is actually how can I combine the story of our chef with food? How can we tell the story but don't lose the food element? So what we thought about is this idea where all the conversation and the content actually happen on a piece of paper that is surrounded by food. So let me show you a few examples. We have this, we have this. So all this came about when we asked how can I combine X with Y? And then we have this. So basically, we want to tell the story, but we don't want to lose the food element. So we thought, hey, you know, people usually put a menu card on the plate. Maybe we can do that. And that's what we started doing. So for your brand, you can think what is your element. So let's say, for example, if you sell cars, right? Let's say if you sell cars, your social media should be all about cars, but you also want to tell some message. So what can you do? Maybe your message can appear on your windscreen. Maybe it can appear on some part of the car. I'm not sure. Or you can have a photo of, a video of your car radio or speaker or whatever, and then the audio plays, which is the message that you want to say. But in a way where it feels like the car's radio is playing what you want to tell. So it connects your message to car. So always challenge yourself, how can I connect this to my product? How do I connect that to my product? You just keep pushing yourself and keep asking yourself questions, and eventually you will slowly get the hang of it. If you can't think of anything, continue to get more inspiration by doing more research. If you really still cannot think, look for people to brainstorm ideas with. You can drop us a message. You can ask your friend and say, hey, I really want to take out this message, but I still want it to be related to car. What can I do? Always brainstorm. When there is two brains, things happen faster. All right, so that is step number 4, which is to match them. And finally, the last step, I'm almost done with the steps. The final step, number 5, is to analyze, to always watch your numbers and keep testing, because there is no point if you keep posting out content, but actually people don't care about it. So look at the numbers, ask yourself which one works best. So let's say last week I posted 7 posts. These 2 did very well. These 2 did very bad. Why? Why did it do well? Why did it didn't do well? Why do people like this? And eventually you will see a pattern. For example, in Picha, the post that do very well is post that is very, very sinful, like marshmallow on top of a brownies, it did super well. Or a cheesy lasagna, it did super well. Or something just very sinful, people like it. So how do we know that? Is through numbers. So for yourself, when you keep testing the content, always look at the numbers. And one of the example that I really, really love, someone shared it with me. Again, it's about cars. Someone shared it with me that he has an account about cars. So he want to see what is actually the content that people like. So what he do is he keep comparing and trying, where he actually take a photo of the same car, a photo with the front of the car and a photo with the back of the car. Then he looked at the numbers. Oh, the front of the car does better than the back of the car. So he take the front of the car and he tried to take it in the morning and at night. and he compared these two photos, that is the front of the car in the morning, the front of the car at night, and he see which one does better. And hey, the morning one does better. So he try again, the front of the car in the morning in an urban area versus in a countryside. And then he compare again, which one look better? Oh, the countryside look better. Then he try again, the front of the car in the morning at the countryside with a human and without a human, which one does better? So you constantly compare and try to find the key factor that helps your post. And what I mean by help your post, it actually means you find the key factor of what the people actually want to see. So again, another real example is, let's say Picha, right? So let's say Picha, for Picha, let's say if you look at it, just the top 9 posts, we have a review, we have a food photo, we have like this is like an information that we share with people. Then we have another food photo, and this is what we call the food cartoon, where we use the food as characters to share positive messages like unity, or to share about the refugee awareness. And then we have a food video, and then we introduce the team, Elisa, and then we have another food video, and we have another food cartoon. So out of these 9 posts, every week we will look at the numbers, and we will say, oh, the food cartoon does very well. People like to save it because it's informative. Oh, but the food photo, the likes is high, but the reach is low. But we still need it, because if not, then people won't know we are a food business. And for food review, oh, it doesn't do well in terms of like, but it drives a lot of website clicks, for example. So analyze your post so that you know which one does well in what area. For example, something like a food review might not bring me a lot of likes and a lot of reach, but it will bring me a lot of website clicks, which leads to sales, because food review attract people who wants to buy the food. But like something pretty like a food photo, it might have a lot of likes, but people might not necessarily want to buy it. They just like the food photo. Okay, so that is what we that is where we must analyze the number, because without looking at the numbers, you can't actually have a better understanding of your followers' behavior. And understand your followers' behavior will help you a lot in generating content that is effective. All right. Okay, so finally, I just want to put this out there again. Just now we were mentioning about how content marketing helps in building trust, building, what did I say again? Building trust, building brand awareness, and also building exposure. Because when people like the content, they usually share it or they screenshot it to someone. So the whole point of content marketing is really to build your content in a way where you become the top of mind awareness for people out there. What do I mean by that? Top of mind awareness is that how can people think of you first and straight away whenever they talk about something. So for example, when they talk about food delivery, right now what pops up? Probably Domino's, probably McDonald's, I'm not sure. But how can Picha reach a point where people think about food delivery for families? They think about Picha. How do we do that? It's really a lot of times through content, because through content, they see us every single day. Even though they are not buying, they see us every single day. And subconsciously, you have already built that impression and the relationship. And that helps them to have you, your brand, as the top of their mind. So let's say if you are a consulting company for real, how can you always give out? Okay, for example, let's say I own a HR consulting firm. How can I give out so much information about HR that someone from HR will definitely follow my Instagram so that they get updated? So imagine if I am a HR person and I follow this Instagram account to always get updated, I will feel that, hey, they know their stuff, they know what they are doing. And one day when my company tell me, hey, look for a consultant, we need someone to help us in HR, who will come first on my head will be this Instagram account that I have always been going to for help. All right. So if you are a brand, let's say you are a co-working space, again, how can you build your content in a way where people who are your potential clients will always go to you when they need something related to work environment or working style or work culture and things like that, so that one day if they need a space to rent, you are the top of their mind, because you have already been helping them indirectly with the knowledge and the content that you've been putting out. So the whole point of content marketing is really to build trust, to build brand awareness, to build exposure, so that you become the top of their mind of the industry whenever they need something. So that is all. It's quite a straightforward webinar and sharing. So it took about half an hour. So that is all. I hope that helps. And if you have any more questions, feel free to even either drop it at the chat or either just reach out to me, whichever you prefer. Or if you want to ask now, you can just unmute yourself to ask questions since we are a quite small group today. All right, if there's any question. If there is none, you can go enjoy your Saturday evening. Is there any question from this? No? Yes? No? Quiet group today. Okay, Clara. Clara, you can either type or you can unmute yourself, up to you. Okay, all right, Clara will be typing. Meanwhile, thank you for joining. Yeah, we weren't sure how will this timing work because we are actually also testing out different timing to see which timing works best. Probably Saturday evening, not the best. But thank you for joining still. I hope that was helpful. Do let me know if there's any feedback while Clara type. Do add us on LinkedIn or even send me a connection on LinkedIn and let me know whether it was helpful, how could it be better, or even is there any other thing that you would like to know from us, because we would like to do this webinar bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we want to do a webinar. If there's any topics that you think we can cover and you want to know, just let us know. Yeah, what else would you like to know more? Just let us know. All right, let's wait for a while. So how to decide an objective for a social media business? Sorry, I need to clarify. Do you mean how to decide an objective for your business on social media? Is that what you mean?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Clara.
Actually, I'm really curious. Like recently, I'm helping to manage a social media account.
Yeah.
But like it's quite confusing because there's a lot of objective we want to achieve.
Okay.
So how to decide it which objective that suit for the social media business? Thank you.
Okay. I would say yes, of course, there is a lot of objective that we want to achieve because you want sales, you want leads, you want more contact. We want everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's very important. If you are the business owner, you need to think what is the priority. If you are not the business owner, you will have to check with whoever's in charge what should be the priority. Explain to them that when there is multiple objective, it might not work best because people are confused. Okay, what do you want? You want me to buy or what? So what you can do is there can be multiple objectives, but it can be broken down into phases. For example, for the first phase, even for everyone out there, not just for Clara. So if you want to build something, you have multiple objectives, you can set a goal where the first 3 months, I want to focus on awareness. So the first 3 months, I will keep pushing out what do we stand for, what do we provide, how good we are, why are we good? Of course, not in a hard sell way, in a way where the content is interesting enough that people want to keep engaged. So let's say you take the 3 months to push on awareness. And then the next 3 months, you can build on, let's say, engagement, for example. Engagement meaning you start coming up with content that you trigger conversation. For example, again, I use Picha because that's my most familiar brand. So for example, I can say things like, hey, we are releasing a new meatball series. What do you think we can do with the meatball? So you are asking for engagement, for people to talk to you. They might say, oh, maybe you can do pizza, or maybe you can do pasta, for example. You can run another campaign that is for objective. And then after that, the next 3 months, maybe you want to focus on generating leads, meaning you are telling people, hey, if you are interested, drop your email, for example. So it can be broken down into phases, or you can have primary and secondary priority happening at the same time. So for example, you can say, okay, for these 6 months, my primary objective is to build awareness. So a large part of your content should revolve around awareness, but at the same time, you also want lead. You also want to generate leads. So you can make generating leads a secondary priority, which means, for example, if you post 5 posts per week on social media, you can just space it out, do 2 awareness posts. 1 post that say, hey, drop your email if you're interested. Do another 2 awareness posts, and then, hey, drop your email if you're interested. So it's really about balancing. But if let's say you want to achieve all objective, honestly, it is quite difficult. It will be a bit messy. So I would suggest to stay a bit more focused. It doesn't mean that once you say my social media is for this, then it must be that forever. You can always change. You can always re-strategize, and you can always change. So for Picha, the first 3 weeks, our goal is in reach. Reach meaning we want it to reach as many people as possible. Don't really matter if you buy or not. I just want it to go out. But right now we are focusing a bit more on, I wouldn't say sales, but I would say a bit more on telling you, hey, you can buy for this, you can buy for that, or even more engagement right now where people comment and people actually talk to us more. Yeah, so break it down into phases. That would be a bit that would be easier and clearer. Like, I would say that would be more effective as well. And for Shy Kid, for the brand new social media pages with not many followers yet, what would be your advice for them? Okay, that is a question that we do get a lot. Let me see. I think no matter what, we will have to start somewhere. So what we can do is we can look at past cases. So let's say your business, for example, if your business is in certain industry, we can try to see what are some of the things that have been done before that works very well. Or go to some of your similar competitors' profile. Usually we will go for the overseas one. So it's not so much, for example, like food delivery, we don't just study the Malaysia profile, we also look at overseas profile to see what they do. So I would say look at other people's numbers if it's available and try it out. Whatever numbers you have, it actually does tell. It actually does show even though the number is low. Once you do the percentage, you can tell the difference. So we recently, in Zucchini & Co, we recently started taking a social media page that is brand new. So before we came in and do content, the content is at about, let's say, 54 reach, 55 reach. So after we took over, it went up to like 200, 400 reach. So even though it is still low, there is an increase. There is still numbers one, and the numbers matter even though it is new. So I would say, even though it is new, try and start small wherever you are. And if, let's say, it's really very new, get feedback as well from other people. Get feedback from your friend. Tell people what do you think about it. So I hope that answers your question. So look at the other accounts. Try to look at other people's number. Still look at your numbers, no matter it's small or big, and to ask people's feedback as well. I would say the best is to ask who you are serving, like to ask your client, hey, what do you like about my product? What do you like to see on my social media? What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? Or what do you want to see more? So when you are new, the best thing about being new is you have direct access to whoever you are serving, because it's not like you have 1,000 people to ask. You probably have 10 to 100 people to ask. And I would say it's good to understand what they think. And from there, we keep building. It's a constant process of building. And unfortunately, I have to break this bad news to everyone. What works for you now doesn't work maybe in 3 months. It keeps changing. Social media changes very fast. Marketing changes very fast, and algorithm changes very fast. So we have to constantly catch up, which is why in the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned it's really not so much about techniques. It's more about the thought process of understanding what people actually want to see, because it changes at a blink of your eye, something changes. Yeah. Okay, is there any more questions? If no, we will call it a day. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you very much. If any of you is interested to join our conversation for the Refugee Day tonight, you can go to Picha Eats Instagram. It is on our story. So just swipe out and join in. That's all. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hope that was helpful. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.